Hey everyone, I'm Roger Haskett. Here we go, right over there, Roger Haskett from Engagement Unlimited. I'm talking to Sherryl Parsons from Rare Affairs. Hey Sherryl.
Hello.
An amazing event planner. And so we are having a sort of casual conversation about some of the things that we think about in terms of online, virtual, digital events, what we've learned, what we have learned from each other, what we like about working with each other, and what we've learned from clients, all this sort of stuff we thought we'd share with you. So let's start with our first question, which is, what value do we find in working with each other? And Sherryl, why don't you take it away?
Well, first of all, we bring two completely different things that are both really, really important to any event, whether in person or virtual. And so I'll explain a little bit about the event management side and what I bring, and then Roger will flip it over to you if that's okay. And you can talk a little bit about what you bring and how those kind of dovetail perfectly for great events. So broadly, what I do for clients is help with the design, organization, the project management side, keeping everything on time, on budget, and having a really good handle on dates and deadlines as they approach. A large part of what I do is recommend, negotiate, and contract our vendors and our suppliers, like Roger, our speakers, and even our tech solutions. So what that means is I become the point person, handling a ton of communications and making sure that we're accurately communicating out what needs to happen and what needs to be done, and making sure everybody has the information that's required to meet the end game. And so ultimately, it's my responsibility to have a full understanding of every aspect of the event, keeping the objectives and the attendee experience absolutely front of mind as we put all of those pieces in place.
Wow. It sounds like you do a lot of stuff, Sherryl.
Wear many hats, but it's fun.
Yeah, it is, but it's true. Like, this is the thing about finding an amazing event planner is that they handle, if you think of it as a juggler, like a good juggler, like a decent juggler, I am a decent juggler. I can juggle 3 balls. I can juggle them up and down and do a couple tricks with them. That I think is a decent event planner. But then I think exceptional event planners are like those jugglers that all of a sudden add a 4th ball and then add a 5th ball, and then one of them is a bowling ball and one of them is a bowling pin, etc. And that I think is sort of what Sherryl and the team at Rare Affairs are like. I've worked with Sherryl it's about 10 years now with a variety of clients, right?
Mm-hmm.
About 10 years now. Every time we work together, we have got to work together more. Like we have such a great synergy. And part of it is that Sherryl and her team are amazing. And they, from my point of view, what's really amazing about what they do is that they take the client's issues, challenges, goals, burdens onto their shoulders, and they solve their problems as if they are their own problems, which is one of the things that I think Engagement Unlimited does, that we look at our clients and we go, what your issues are what our issues are becoming. So like whatever it is that you need to figure out are the things that we are there to help figure out as well. And Sherryl is such an amazing, Sherryl, Chris, Laura are such amazing partners because you can see them take the burden of the event onto their shoulder and solve it and not be happy until they solved it.
But Roger, a lot of what we're doing now is we're solving those problems with you. So we're contacting when we get to work with you. We're working as one big team when you're brought into these things, and we're all, yourself included, like scanning the horizon. What could potentially come up? What do we need to consider to be a threat that maybe we can deal with now versus when the event hits for these clients? They don't even know half of these things that are going on in the background.
Absolutely.
Which is kind of where I think our value comes in and our experience comes in. And ultimately, at the end of the day, these great events are kind of executed and are able to happen is kind of the big team effort that takes place. And so
Yeah, I totally agree. It really is a team effort. You can't do it by yourself. I mean, you could do certain things, I think, by yourself, but to pull together, like we just worked on a 300-person top leader event, from across BC, and we want to get into what value and what are the amazing things that virtual online offers that being live doesn't. We want to talk about. It's not all bad news when we talk about moving into this hybrid world or this virtual world. But back to the team idea, it really is important to have that team around you. And this is why we're talking here. One of the reasons we're talking is to to help clients understand and help people understand that all of this really is a team effort. And one of the things that my company brings is this ability to be the front face, the front energy of the experience, of the conference, of the event, of whatever it happens to be. Knowing that there is support all around me or us as we go countdown to live, and we then become the face of the event. And so we think nonstop about what that means, what energy you need to have to pull people through their computer screens into an experience that is vital and energizing and exciting. But it really is a team event. And when you have the right people in the right spot, it becomes a joyous occasion, which is one of the things that I love about Rare Affairs. I have such a great time with them. And stress is something you deal with and move on. And it's fun and joyful, which is power.
Yeah, it's amazing. And, I really appreciate it, especially in this last project, is not being able to be in front of the attendees and right there for me and solve the problems. A lot of the things in the messaging, I felt like you had my back the whole time. I would hear from the client and I'm texting you on the side, and then you're communicating it to the attendees, all within moments of each other. And normally it's stuff I could deal with. And so you magically stepped up into an even more awesome role. You're already awesome and do, incredible things for events. But this was the first time I was just like, man, I don't know how I could have done this without Roger. So yeah, that was incredible. And it was a huge stress relief off. And hiccups happen when you're in virtual and things need to be communicated. And so having you take care of a lot of these things was just awesome. It was so good to have you. And we understand, we're almost thinking in tandem with each other. A lot of times I was texting you, but you were already texting me about the same issue, and then it was being communicated out. And so it was like we were little mind readers, but in two different parts of the world. So
Totally. It was exactly that. I was like reaching for the phone, and then Sherryl would text, and I'd be like, all right, I've got the answer before I had to ask the question. So one of the things that you said, Sherryl, when we were talking about this afterwards, was how, so we've been doing a number of virtual online events. This is number 10, 12 or something. And what we hear from our clients is the same thing. What we tend to do, our business model is that we work with a client once, and then we turn those clients, 90% of them, into lifelong clients, because they say, we don't want to do this again without you. So tell me, I wasn't surprised about this, but tell me about how you were skeptical that the engagement would rise through virtual and what you thought at the end. Tell us about that journey.
Well, when you're taking, 300 attendees that you normally have in person, and you walk in a room and the energy is electric and people are coming from all different regions and they haven't seen each other forever. And they're asking me to kind of pump it through a cable and put it out on the TV. You feel like a TV producer as you're putting these things together. You're thinking, like, how do I entertain and keep these people engaged? And so I was a little bit skeptical. I thought, well, it's going to be good, but it's going to be good, and the messaging is going to be delivered, and they're going to get the content they need and the education and the training. But there's probably going to be a part that is missing, and sure there is, because they couldn't all be in the same room. But we ended up, really through the use of our technology and our live stream, which you couldn't be really interactive with, is we ended up also producing an app. So people could then have their phone with them and be engaging on their phone, almost like they're playing a video game. So they're watching the show, and then they're talking to one another, and they're controlling things, and they're adding content, and they're adding questions, and they're answering live polls. And anyways, everybody downloaded this thing, and the app was going crazy. Engagement was at an all-time high. And Roger's not only emceeing, but I see him asking questions on the app and launching live polls, and people are interacting with him. And he's just like also kind of controlling that. And I was shocked at the end of the day. People were private messaging me going, this is great. I'm getting so much out of this. Thank you for doing this. So my expectations were really exceeded. And I felt that, it was well worth the investment and the time to do this virtually for this.
And not just us thinking that, our clients are also coming forward and going, wow, like I just keep hearing, we get quotes all over where people are going, like, you're killing it. I can't wait for the second day. And the client going, we had no idea that we could actually achieve this.
Yes.
Like like Sherryl was saying, we thought that we would get like, maybe 25% of what we were really hoping to get in a live event. And instead people going, wow, this online event, we are getting this engagement, we are getting connection, we are getting learning that is blowing our mind. Right. And so this is one of the things that we want to talk about with the right team, with people like Sherryl, with Rare Affairs, with people like me at Engagement Unlimited. You can actually achieve amazing things virtually, digitally, online. It's not just what can we settle for, it's what actually can you achieve. But it's important that you have people who are thinking this way, right? Like people who are thinking engagement. People who are thinking we need to be creating an environment that has people wanting to be there, wanting to be participants, right?
Yeah. I knew it was going to go good at the end of the first day. You posed a question on the app and, what was your biggest takeaways? And within seconds, everyone had filled in some amazing things that they learned. And then the next morning, you kind of brought the whole thing full circle and you said, hey, after experiencing day one, how are you feeling going into day two? And next thing you know, the thing blows up with just such cool responses. Everybody wanted to be there. They were excited to be there. They were on early. Our live stream never dropped. I mean, you sit and you watch how many people are active and participating and live and on the feed. And our number just stayed steady for the full 3 days. So, with a lot of, this careful design and perfect and engagement tactics and an employer giving the employees time to do this on work time. That's a huge thing too. If you're asking people to do this on their own time outside of work, but they gave the time and the space and the encouragement for people to pause and learn and be present. And that was really, really key too. So
yeah. And it's funny to maybe wrap up, we'll start pulling it together, but this is the thing, like you can achieve a tremendous amount in terms of learning through online. You can achieve a huge amount of connecting through online. And you do these things, I believe, through engagement. But and Sherryl and I had many conversations at the beginning before, we got this about a month and a half before. So it was a very short timeline. But Sherryl and I talked about how engagement was so essential, vital to make this come alive. And so the idea of using the app on here, Sherryl found it, and we committed to making the second screen idea work. And just like she said, as long as we continue to drive engagement through it, like I would keep saying, go to the chat, start entering in questions, or to the Q&A or enter questions, or for the chat to enter in comments, and go to the use the system within the app to keep track of all the things that you're learning that you want to rise up to the top of your consciousness so that you can bring it to your teams, you can bring it to your organization, you can bring it to your family. All these things happen because we kept focusing on engagement. And when you focus on engagement, magical things happen. So Sherryl, any last things to, stop. Any last things, there we go. Sorry about that. Any last things to talk about as we wrap up this session about why we love working with each other and why people really should be thinking about us as a dream team to hire to help solve their virtual online, event issues?
Yeah, I think, Roger, we hit the ground running. March hit and events were going to be shut down. And there's certain people that kind of stood back and thought, okay, I'm going to wait this out. And yourself and myself and a lot of the vendors and suppliers we work with were like, no, we're going to figure this out. We're going to flip. There's still meetings that have to happen in this virtual world. There's a lot to be learned. And I think, we have been testing and trying and doing things successfully for the last, few months. And I think that we can bring that experience, that knowledge, to the forefront, but also, really hone in on what the purpose of the event is and, why the attendee experience side of it so important and help make, clients' events successful in this virtual world right now. And I have no doubt that, in all the confidence in the world, that working with people like yourself and myself and other vendors and suppliers that we often bring in from the tech side, that we can do magical things for people's events. So yeah.
Absolutely. And it's great to know, like, I am so happy to know that when I partner with someone like Sherryl in Rare Affairs, all these other things that I really don't have control over, but are absolutely essential for me to do my job effectively, I know that they're getting covered. And I know that, as Sherryl said, she brings in amazing partners who elevate the event for the client, and make it easier and more fun. And there's a lot of power in making things more fun for people like me. So, I really think for clients, it's not just finding the event planner, which is really important, but making sure that event planner has these amazing connections with people who will also elevate and are thinking the right way about events in a pandemic, in a time when virtual online is a reality. And, I keep saying this, it's not going away. It's not like we get vaccines a year from now. That's wonderful and great, but this is never going away. We're never not going to be interacting with people through screens, through online encounters. So we should be figuring out how to make these things as potent as they possibly can be, because that's our world moving forward. Not totally, not completely, but it is our world. So we might as well learn it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's been a lot of advantages to online. I mean, yes, there's a whole Zoom fatigue and everything, but I think that going forward, there's always going to be an element of this, and it's going to be important. And the reach for a lot of companies is really far reaching when you put these meetings online. So, yeah. I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we're talking about the advantages of digital online, which is another topic for later, but there are tremendous advantages to what we have in front of us now. Lots of challenges, Zoom fatigue, as Sherryl mentioned, lots of challenges that we have as well. But these are challenges that we need to struggle our way through and find answers to. And the good news is it's worth it. It's worth it because there's amazing things that can happen through this type of encounter. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. So Sherryl Parsons from Rare Affairs, thank you so much. Roger Haskett from Engagement Unlimited, thank you. And for the people who are listening, thank you. We'll be back with some more discussions shortly.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone.